Hi everybody and good morning. I'm Steph from Simply Rhino and I'd like to welcome everyone to today's webinar in which Mark Escort and Mark Christie from Visus will introduce Arena 4D for Rhino. Using a powerful point cloud engine, Arena 4D for Rhino allows huge full color laser scan data to be used and manipulated in a native Rhino environment. Today's webinar will last around 30 minutes, and if any of you have any questions that you'd like to ask, then please type them in and send them to us during the webinar, and we'll get round to answering these at the Q&A session at the end. As usual, we're recording today's webinar, and it will be available to view amongst other places on the Simply Rhino webinar YouTube channel, and you can link to that via the Simply Rhino website, of course. So now I'm going to hand over to Mark and Mark for the presentation. Guys, over to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Stephanie. This is Mark Escort for Visus. Firstly, I'd like to thank Simply Rhino for hosting this webinar. They're one of our UK authorised resellers of Arena 4D software products, which includes the Arena 4D for Rhino plugin. Just wanted to say a few words about who we are and where we're from initially. We're a small company. We're based in the UK, in the southeast of England. We were formed about 2.5 years ago, which seems like yesterday. We started with one product in our itinerary, and that product was called Arena 4D Data Studio. So I'm just going to bring that up now, just so you can see what that looks like. Arena 4D was designed initially around loading huge point cloud datasets. Now, what you can see on the screen right now is a point cloud of around 500 million points of data, and it's running on a standard desktop PC, and high-speed visualization was the key, and that's what we've achieved with product. However, once we'd done that, we decided to look into exploiting the data, so editing, copying, cleaning, creating animations from the actual data sets themselves, so you can make complete videos from this this data set using our product here. But then we moved on to make the Data Studio product into a full-blown GI solution. So any data that is geographically referenced, or data that even isn't, you can bring into this complete package and give yourself a massive contextual 3D visualization tool, which includes the point cloud data and any other data you might want to load into it. Okay, one thing worth pointing out before I go into the actual Rhino plugin itself is that this particular tool imports point cloud data from all the standard data sets that you'd expect, like PTS, EFIT7, LAS 1.2, LAZs, and some proprietary formats which are obtained from dot product hardware, soon to be including the Regal hardware, and we also include the NC Tech hardware as standard imports into the software, and they're reflected in the Rhino plugin when I come to that in a second. Okay, so that's the main product. When I was showing this to people initially, everybody I showed this to in the architectural sort of arena asked us if we're going to do a similar sort of thing for Rhino, which is where this particular plugin was born. So let's get started. We've got the Rhino loaded now. All of you familiar with using Rhino know how to install the plugins. So let's just get it started now and just go to the command line and type in Arena 4D. And that should bring up a panel which you can dock anywhere you like, you can move around, and that is effectively our Arena 4D plugin. So that has now bolted on the point cloud engine into Rhino. So you now should be able to load very large point clouds natively in Rhino and edit those point clouds and create architectural models as you see fit. Okay, so just to talk very quickly about the tabs along the top of the plugin. If we go to the About tab, this will tell you the version you're using and whether it's a trial version or whether it's a fully licensed version. Now, just to point out, if you've downloaded or are looking to download the trial version from our website, you will get 10 minutes of runtime. After that 10 minutes has expired, your point cloud will vanish from your viewports in Rhino, but you can restart Rhino and then you get another 10 minutes. It sounds restrictive, but it gives you a good chance to understand whether the tool does what you want it to. Okay, next one along is generator. Now this is the generator that resides in Arena 4D Data Studio, and we've simply extracted it and put it into this plugin. So this allows you to import point clouds, your own point clouds, your LAS point clouds, your PTS point clouds, XYZ, ASCII, etc. in Rhino, without having to go into other products and actually do it that way. We've also got some support for NCTEC's color cloud. So if you have an NCTEC camera in your itinerary, you can simply come into Rhino, point the software at your point cloud data, which could be captured with your scanner, and then point it at the images that were captured with the iStar camera, and it will color it and create a point cloud for you, and it will load it into Rhino for you straight away. Okay, we then, once you've imported, we create our own proprietary formats, and that is called a VPC file. So now we've done that, imagine we have done that, you don't really want to sit there watching us import a huge point cloud. You come into the point cloud tab, there's some buttons along the top of the window here. One is the plus key, so if we click that, that allows you to open a point cloud. As you can see there, or VPC. Let's just load up this bridge, and it's loaded straight away, and you can see the viewports populated with the point cloud data in each of the viewports. And for those familiar with London, that is Tower Bridge. Okay, so that's loaded the data, and you can see it's moving around quite happily inside the viewport. And we'll get to what we can do with that data in a second, but I just need to explain a little bit more about the buttons across the top of the tab here. The minus button will delete your selected point cloud. So if we wanted to delete the bridge here, we'd select it and then click the minus key. We're not going to do that, but that would remove it. The reason we've got that to select individual point clouds is because you can load up more than one point cloud at any one time in Rhino. The trash can will allow you to delete all the point clouds you've got loaded. Okay, fairly simple. And towards the right hand side, we've got a cloud with a hard disk symbol on the cloud. Now if we click on that, this allows you to connect to the Arena 4D point server. And this could be on your company network, and you can simply select the server and you can load in data from that server into Rhino or any other products. Okay, we won't do that right now, we've got one already, so cancel that. The magnifying glass allows you to focus the view on your point cloud, so if you were lost, you didn't know where it was, you click the magnifying glass and there you have it, you can see the point cloud. So it's fairly simple. So let's change the data, let's exploit the data slightly. We just go full screen with the perspective view in mind. If we select the bridge, we have some options at the bottom of this tab. These options are specific to the point cloud you've got selected, so it will only change the settings applied to the bridge in this case. Okay, so if I just drag the quality bar up and down, what this does, you can't really see it doing much to be honest, but that's because this isn't a very dense point cloud. It's only about 150 million points based on the name of the file. But if this was a very dense point cloud in a very condensed area, so inside a room, inside a building, and you had many overlapping points, you could drag this quality slider and it will remove some of the points gradually until you get a much clearer view on the actual data set itself. Okay, so it's quite nice for getting down to the detail within dense point clouds. The next drag bar slide bar is the point size. It kind of speaks for itself, but if we have a look at what it's doing as we zoom into the base of Tower Bridge, if we drag it, it changes the point size from 1 all the way up to about 10. Okay, right. The next part on this particular set of options is the render. So your render could be intensity, which is what it is right now, or you can colorize the point cloud if it has had color applied to it. So you can now see that the point cloud is now color, and you can definitely see that that's Tower Bridge. Okay, so just coming back to intensity for a moment, just to show you the next option. We've got this ramp tick box. So we click the tick box. You can see the colorized points associated with the intensity appear there. Now, it's not a very complicated set of scan data, this, so the color ramp isn't as defined as you would get in some scan instances, but you can see what that's doing. Okay, turn that off. Come back to the color mode. The next one is a pull down, which allows you to fill between points. What I mean by that really is it allows you to make your point cloud a bit more solid. So it's something we term as a solidification of the point cloud data without actually moving away from the data being points. So we're not making it so we're not doing polygons in between points or anything like that. We are simply solidifying the point cloud data. So if we turn it on, you'll see that the sparse data that was in front of you has now been solidified and blended together to try and make the surface look and feel more solid. Okay, so and you can drag the sides of the solidification with the ratio bar underneath the smoothing pull down. Okay, so it allows you to get more from the actual data set without actually stepping away from it being point cloud data. And when you step away from the actual data itself, it looks very solid, it looks very real. And if we just pan around the bridge slightly, you can see exactly the effect that's had. It looks better than just point cloud data. Okay, that's great. The next two slide bars are brightness and contrast. They kind of speak for themselves. But if we drag that up to the top, some scan data can be extremely dull, and it can change between scan locations, and it can change between photographs applied to the actual colorization of the point cloud. By dragging these bars, you can actually get a far better understanding of the data and a much clearer, crisper understanding of what you're looking at. As you can see, the contrast has changed that quite significantly, and that might bring out detail that you couldn't see with the contrast set to 0. Okay, so just drag that through a little bit so you can see the actual difference it's making, and then we'll stop at an appropriate level, say 0. Okay, so let's just zoom out a little bit of the from the Tower Bridge, and we're going to go to the next tab, which is the Options tab. We're developing this tab as we go along, as we get feedback from customers. Any suggestions anyone's got for adding more functions to this particular plugin, we're completely open to listening, and we're very happy to listen to those suggestions and change it as we go through the development of the plugin. What we've got right now are the 4 options you see in front of you now, and the top one being lighting. It's by default switched off, but if we click it and turn it on, it's quite subtle, but I'm not sure. Yeah, yes, they look quite good there. If you look at the edges to the building just here, if we turn it off again and turn it back on again, you'll see the effect that has. So point cloud data, we turn lighting on, you'll then see that become far more crisp. So it's emphasizing the edges, the detail, the window frames of this particular piece of scan data, and it is actually quite useful for modeling from the data. Okay, so that's applying to the color. The next one is intensity, so if we click that on, and that's done the same thing, however it's done it to the intensity values of the point cloud data. And that allows you to bring out additional detail that you're looking at. Okay, so we just zoom in slightly, turn it off, turn it back on again, and you'll see the subtle difference that you're getting there. Now, this data set is okay for showing the capability in this way, but some interior scans and some more detailed scans really do benefit from being able to get some additional detail from the point cloud using this function. Okay. The next scroll bar down is decimate, so if we just go back to turn the lighting off. The decimate's not something that I would use because I don't really use Rhino, but it's something that allows you to remove detail that could be in your way when you're trying to model from the actual point cloud itself. So if I just drag that again quickly, just come back down to the top-down view, and we drag it. You see it only affecting the perspective view and not the other three. Okay, so it purely allows you to model in one of the other views whilst removing data from the perspective view. Okay. The next tick box is magnify. If we enable that, what that does is it magnifies the point which is underneath the cursor, the mouse cursor, not what's underneath the actual the circle. The reason for this is that it's very easy, particularly at this distance from the point cloud, to click on a point behind what you're trying to click on. So if you look at the subtle difference between the color of the magnifier, that is the flagpole and that is the bridge part behind. So it's allowing you to ensure you're clicking on the right thing. Many times I've done measurements and things like that using point clouds and clicked on the wrong thing, thinking that I'm clicking on the right thing in the foreground when I'm actually clicking the background. So that's quite useful in some instances, not all, but it's there if you need that. Right, snap is a very useful tool, so we need to zoom in quite close to the point cloud here before you see what it's doing. You see the points dispersed at this particular location, so if I turn snap on, this snaps to the points. It picks up the closest point to the cursor and snaps to it. Great for measurements, great for drawing down a line or making a slice or what have you down the actual data itself. So it is very accurate and goes directly to the point itself. Speaks for itself. Okay, that was the options. Like I say, we're open to suggestion as to what we add to that next. Next thing we're going to show is clipping. Now, clipping allows you to isolate an area of the point cloud. So if we just make a new clip by clicking on the green box and simply using the left key to highlight this part of the bridge, and then right-click to select, that's turned green. That means it's selected. So that's a clip. Okay, we're just going to turn on the lighting against that selection, and you can really see some of the detail come out when we've got that switched on. So let's turn it off again and go back to the clipping. And what we're going to do now is we like that. We can do two things. We can either invert the selection, so we want to select anything else other than the clipping selection we made, or we can just hide everything else. So clicking the I button hides everything that was selected. Okay, so isolating that part of the point cloud. Okay, let's just unhide that. Okay, and go back to the selection we've made. And we want to keep this, so we can create a new clip, and which we have just there. And we can do other things like clear the data, or we can remove it, or we can use it for another day. Okay. Okay. The bottom box of this clipping pane here, that allows you to merge clips together. So you could create one clip like I have there. You could make another one. like so, and then you want to keep both these as one group of clips. So use the arrow button and you've now got a group of clips which comprises both of the clips in the top box. Okay. Okay, export. Okay, right, you can then export that clip to a native Rhino point cloud. Okay, if you so wished, because you can isolate a very small part of this point cloud, because you don't want all of it, you want to just use just one small part of it, and you want to be able to use that in the native Rhino format. Clicking that cloud button down there does exactly that. Okay. Okay, next part of functionality is slices. Okay, slices are the ability to select part of the point cloud, which we're going to do right now. So add a new clip just here. So we're using the top-down pane. So we've added a slice, and you can see the front view has a slide bar. Okay, a red slide bar. And you can change the width of the slide bar. So in this case it's 1 meter. We can make that something less, 500 or even more. Okay, and we can then either just drag that, and you can see the effect that has in the top-down view. It's affecting nothing else, so the perspective view is not being affected right now. So it's just dragging it up and down, and you can see it's isolating just the points in that particular slice. So you can then start to model around that particular piece of data. Okay. Or if you wanted that to affect the perspective view as well, you can click the perspective tick box against the slice, and you can see the effect that's having in the perspective view and the top-down view. So just drag that, you can see the difference it's making. Okay. So now what we're going to do, we're going to draw down this curve. So we're going to enable snap, so we make sure we're clipping on the points. We're going to choose a polyline, and we're going to snap to the points down this particular curve. Use the left mouse button to make some selections around the curve itself. Okay, and when we're happy, we'll just right-click. Okay, then go back to our slice. We can then step down that polyline. Click Add first, and we've now got a new slice. And we can then click on the Align to Curve button, and that will effectively snap you to that polyline we've just drawn. And you can see a red line through the center of the actual curve itself, which you can then step down. So if we step through that, it's showing you the perspective through that line. Okay, so we step through that. Okay, and we can use the arrows at the bottom of the tab to simply step our way down that line, and it follows the curve itself, and it has a width setting of 1 meter in this case, which you can reduce if you want to, but you can see the effect that's having in the front view as we're walking down the center of that curve. Okay, and again you can just have that against the top-down view, or you can have that effect in the perspective view as well. Okay, that's good. That's it. Okay. Like I said, it's got a very powerful engine behind this, and we really have put these functions in as a direct result of people's or customers' feedback. And this product is only going to grow in capability as we get more feedback from customers. But right now, I'm not a Rhino user, but right now we've had some very good feedback as to what we currently have in there, and it has some really good utility to a whole array of different people in different areas. So that's kind of it, and I'm really open to any questions.
Okay, Mark, thank you for that. This is Paul from Simply Rhino here, by the way. Just a single question for you. Are you looking to add customizable intensity maps?
Yeah, this is Mark Christie jumping in here. This is possibly one of our most requested features, and we'll hopefully have it within the next month or two. The ability to colour by height or apply a custom colour map to the intensity rather than our current preset one.
Okay, sounds good. Well, that was it. That's the only question we have for you. So thank you very much for your time this morning. And I'll just say goodbye, I think, at this point to everybody. So thanks, and goodbye, Mark. Goodbye, audience.
Thanks, Paul. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.